take y'all back where it all started from.
Let me tell you about my city, a little town where I'm from, where everybody's southern raised just as good as they come. Backwoods and mossy oak and mud holes. And back then we only ate what the farm grow. Man, I miss some days how we played on them dirt roads. And out of towners came with respect, cause they know we all close. Yeah, southern pride, toting gun folks. Welcome to my city, I-75 South, just north of Lava.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods when they ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Time town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We eddy up with big trucks and heavy G's. Pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
It's nothing like our dirt roads, you can bet that, son. I'm from a city, by any means, we gon' protect our guns. I hang with the rednecks and yee-yees. We get up in big trucks in the backwoods like Indians and GPs. This the home of the mighty, mighty Vikings. Wildcats, blazing, title town license. Winners, pretty girls with country grammar. When I say about Austin, Georgia, I ain't talking about Atlanta. This a different type of city, where the woods are pretty, but get gritty. You hear me? What you know about that 229? You can find us on the Florida, Georgia line, where I reside.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods when we ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Time town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We eddy up with big trucks and heavy G's. Pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey. Moonshine and whiskey.
Some folks really don't understand how important it is and never forget where you came from. You know, when I say Lowndes County, man, I mean Lowndes County.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods when we ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Time town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We eddy up with big trucks and heavy G's. Pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
Good evening and welcome to the 229. Welcome to the Viking Nation Live. I'm your host, Larry Godwin, and I'm so glad to be with you guys this evening. It's a Thursday night. You guys know the routine by now. I'm just checking in with one of the coaches that is going to be checking in with us tonight, Fred Mitchell. I'm really, really excited to talk to that guy because he's been doing some really, really good work ever since he got to Lowndes High School. So anyway, we're going to have a lot of fun talking about that. I don't know how your week has been, but man, I just feel like these weeks are just zooming by. I hope my mom is not watching tonight because I have to confess something to you guys. And that is, she was right all along. She was right. Oh, I guess our parents are that way. When we're younger, we're kind of hard-headed. We don't listen to them. And when we get older, we have to admit that our parents were right all along. And what she was right about this time is, I remember when I was little growing up in the backwoods of Berrien County, right outside of the big metropolis of Ray City, Georgia. I remember, and you guys know what I'm talking about. I remember I couldn't wait to get older. I just could not wait. I couldn't wait to get older. I couldn't wait to go to middle school. Then I couldn't wait to go to high school. I couldn't wait to get my driver's license. I couldn't wait to go to college, all that stuff. And every step of the way, my mom heard me complain about it. And she said, one day you're going to be taking those words back because getting old stinks. It's not for the faint of heart. And it just seems like the older you get, the faster time flies by. It's, some of the most precious things in life are really not money. It's really not material possessions, that kind of stuff, but it's our friends, our family, our faith, our country, and our time. So don't ever neglect every second of the day. So anyway, I had to get that confession off my chest. My mom was exactly right. We got a lot to talk about tonight, other than, in addition to, I should say, Fred Mitchell, the new college recruiting coordinator for Lowndes High. We're going to be talking about a couple of different things. Let me go ahead and, before he comes on the screen, let me go ahead and thank our sponsors, because as promised, we've got some new sponsors, guys, and I can't wait to tell you about them. The first one, is Pepsi of Valdosta. These guys have been a fantastic sponsor all last year. They renewed for this year. We thank Doyer Deloach and the guys and gals at Pepsi of Valdosta. Whether your flavor is Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy, the new Starry limited lime drink that's out, it's fantastic. And this is my personal favorite, Mountain Dew Spark, because it will definitely give you a spark. So thank you so much to Pepsi of Valdosta. We also thank White Oak Investment, Kyle Conger. Guys, you see what the economy's doing. You see what the financial markets are doing. It's up and down, up and down. I'm so glad Kyle is in my corner talking me off the ledge, giving me some very sane advice. It's like he spends a lot of his time nowadays just calming me down, assuring me that everything's going to be okay. We're going to have to probably go through some roadblocks, some bumps in the road, but things are going to be fine. Okay, so you need a guy like Kyle in your corner. White Oak Investment, 229-850-8848. We also want to thank Tim Neesmith. Talked to Stickman today. He was asking me about how the show's doing, how things are going in Lowndes County. Business for him is good, and you guys are a big part of that. So remember, when you call Tim at A Shade of Perfection and you're trying to beautify your home, making it awesome, give it awesome curb appeal from the road, window treatments are a great way to do it. Tim is fantastic. Just a high quality guy offering a high quality product and service. Tim Neesmith, A Shade of Perfection. You guys know him affectionately as Stickman. So you can contact Tim at 229-251-3479 or visit his website at ashadeofperfection.com and tell him the Viking Nation Live sent you. We also want to thank these guys, the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta, for also not just sponsoring our show, but stepping up one member sponsorship level and sponsoring our hotline as well. So now that is known as the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta hotline, sponsored by Josh Batson and Justin Haskin. Thank you so much, guys, for your friendship and your patronage. We also want to thank Verizon Wireless on Perimeter Road. Matthew Godwin, if you have the need for iPhones, Androids, accessories, small business accounts, there's not a week that goes by. I promise you, there's not a week that goes by that a friend of mine or someone that I know in Lowndes County will call me, even outside of Lowndes County, either will call me or see me at lunch or whatever and say, hey, listen, I bought a phone from Matthew this week and he offers fantastic customer service. So if you have the need for those products or services, give Matthew a call or go by and see him at Verizon Wireless store on Perimeter Road, right there in front of Walmart. We also want to thank one of our newest sponsors, and that's Chandler Kudik, Aqua Works and Pool Company. Listen, I know the time change has gotten people kind of out of sorts this week, but that's okay. That's okay. But because I'm convinced that somewhere, someone in the universe, instead of moving their clock 1 hour forward, they went way, way too far and restarted winter. I can't believe it. But you know what? This cold weather is going to go away and the sunshine and the warmth is going to return. And that means pool season is right around the corner. Guys, go ahead and get your pool in shape. Aqua Works Pool Company, Chandler Kudik. Chandler came by and serviced our pool this past week. And let me show you a picture of the after. This is our pool in our backyard, and look how beautiful, crystal clear that water is. Whoo, man. It's can't wait to jump in. But I dipped my foot in the pool after he cleaned it, and it was still too cold. It's beautiful, but it's cold. But you know what? Warm weather is right around the corner, and I can't wait. So just keep in mind, when you call Chandler, tell him you saw this on the Viking Nation Live. And just between us, when you do that, you're going to be eligible for a discount. That's amongst friends. Okay, not everybody gets that, but tell him that you saw and heard this from the Viking Nation Live, and he assures me that he will give you a Lounge Viking discount. We also want to thank one of our newest sponsors, and that's Tony Green and Trey Hatcher with Imperial Auto Sales. You can check out their website at imperialautosales.com, or you can go visit them at their store at North Ashley Street or Bay Tree Road. And these guys have been in the business for 20 plus years. And there's a reason why, because they treat their customers well. They are known for their customer service. You don't believe me? Look them up. Google reviews, all these other review apps out there. I mean, they have an A1 plus review when it comes to automotive dealerships around here. And I want to thank you, Tony Green and Trey Hatcher. Thank you so much for trusting and believing in what we're doing here at the Viking Nation Live. Couple other ones. We want to thank Steve Nichols at Freedom with Steve Nichols. Things are really, really starting to rock and roll with Steve's venture there at Freedom with Steve Nichols. He had a fantastic guest on this morning talking about a topic that's going to visit our school systems in this area very, very soon. So it's very appropriate, very, I guess, very not time consuming, but it's the guest that he had on this morning. She knew what she was talking about. So if you haven't seen it, go back and check out his archive. And listen, it's not going to be for everybody, but if you like to talk about politics, if you like to stay up to date on the issues of the day, not just as statewide or national, but local as well, Steve Nichols, you can check out his show or his website, Freedom Networks with an X, freedomnetworks.com. I think that's going to wrap it up for our sponsors. So thank you so much to all those sponsors. And now let's get on with the show, as they say in show business. We want to thank all you guys. If you're not just joining in, you're tuning in live to the Viking Nation. I'm your host, Larry Godwin. You can call me LG. Whatever you do, just give me a call. And this is, I'm being photobombed or video bombed by my daughter, Lowndes graduate, Larry Godwin.
Hello.
Now get out. So anyway, yeah, she just popped her head into the home office studio there and wanted to photobomb the video, but that's okay. You know how daughters are. We'll just leave it at that. So we want to thank all our sponsors. We want to thank all our guests. If you're just now tuning in, you're watching the Viking Nation Live, Larry Godwin. If you want to give us a call and chime in tonight, whatever's on your mind, give us a shout right there. The phone number is posted on the screen right below my name. It's 229-469-1205. And if you've got some questions for the new Lowndes College recruiting coordinator, Coach Fred Smith, man, let's go ahead and get him on the screen. I see him in the green room in the background. He's got all his Lowndes gear on. Man, this guy, I cannot wait to talk to. I spent a little bit of time with Coach Carter and Coach Fred Mitchell in their office this past week. And you're talking about some high energy guys. Guys, trust me when I tell you this. Our football program is in good hands with these guys. And I can't wait to introduce Coach Fred Mitchell to you. Coach, how you doing?
Good, Mr. Larry. How you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Listen, I just spent the last 5 minutes just singing your praises, pumping you up, saying how much of a high energy guy you are. I cannot wait for this interview. It's going to be.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Absolutely.
Hey, the first question that people have when they hear that, Fred Mitchell is now the college recruiting coordinator at Lowndes High School. That's a cool title, but what do you do?
Oh, man. My title, my job basically is to get these kids into college. There's a home for everyone. That's the thing me and Coach Carter preach, and we've had success with over the past 4 years together. So just, getting these kids in college, giving them an opportunity. They work so hard growing up. A lot of them have been playing football since the age of 5, 6, 7 years old. Parents have invested a lot of time taking the different trainers and things like that. So it's rewarding to see these kids, that senior year and that signing day, be able to, sign with the college and things like that in football.
Coach, listen, I'm about to give you the biggest softball of softball questions out there. And that comes from one of our viewers. I'm actually going to put his question on the screen. Check this out. George Coach Trainer says, got to ask him if he likes Lowndes more than those Billy Goats.
I felt like that was going to come.
Yeah, that's right.
Over the past 4 seasons, we were able to come down here twice. So didn't work out in our favor, but hey, man, we're happy to be Vikings.
Absolutely. Great answer, Coach. Great answer. Hey, listen, it just seems like from the outside looking in, and I've got more knowledge about Lowndes football than most in the audience, I think, but still, to my surprise, and it was a pleasant surprise, it just seems like from day one when you guys set foot in the door that we just noticed that there was just a lot more offers coming from colleges at all levels, whether it's D2, the mid majors, D1 programs, it didn't matter. It just seemed like overnight kids were getting off. Was that just pure coincidence, or what did you guys do to help jumpstart that?
We hit the ground running. That's it. We hit the ground running. Exposure is a big thing.
Yeah.
And these kids, there is a ton of talent at Lowndes. There's a ton of talent in South Georgia. So just being a voice for these kids with the relationships that we have built over the past few years, it's just hit the ground running, calling. It's almost, hey, you're cold calling. You're putting these kids' film in front of, these college coaches and people that make decisions. And over the few years, they have trusted myself and trusted Coach Carter that, what we put in front of them will make it at the next level, and they just trust our opinion. So that's what we hit.
I got you. So let me ask you a little bit about your background. And obviously, you're very good at this, as evidenced by the number of offers that our kids are getting. So have you been doing this your entire career, or is this a newfound skill that you have? Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I started 7 years ago at North Paulden.
Okay.
In Paulden County, Georgia, up in the little outside of Metro Atlanta. The head coach at the time, Scott Jones, who's retired now, living it up on the coast in Alabama. He gave me a shot, and it actually started with me just being a mentor for a young man and was taking him out on college visits and things like that. And then I just noticed an opportunity to be able to assist that program, and it's been on from there. I think I was there for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And linked up with Coach Carter, and was at Grayson High School for 4 years as well, and now making this transition to help out the Viking program.
I got you. Guys, if you're just now tuning in, you're watching the Viking Nation Live. Every Thursday night, we do this from 7 to 8. We'll probably start going to an hour and a half here pretty soon. So with that, we've got Coach Fred Carter. He is the new college recruiting coordinator at Lowndes High School, and that's who we're talking to tonight. And he's got me ready to play. I think I told you guys the other day when I was in your office, like, after all that excitement that even at 52 years old, you guys got me ready to suit up and go out there to practice. Now, we know that's not going to happen because I would get hurt very, very quickly.
You and me both.
That's exactly right. But you've got a love for the game. You've come in and started doing some amazing things. Let me ask you, when you say you start cold, do you really actually cold call these college coaches, or have you built a lot of relationships over the years? Or
built a lot of relationships. Caught a lot of coaches off guard when I called them, and told them I was down at Lowndes and assisting the program with recruiting. And we actually hit it. I want to say, I think Coach Carter started January 9th, and that was like a week or two before college coaches were able to start coming back out and visiting the schools, which is a huge thing. So sometimes, these coaching staff switch a lot in college. You have to rebuild contacts that, you might not have at a certain school. So yeah, sometimes it is cold calling, using the social media platform to get in touch with them and things like that. So you can't be scared. Can't be scared of no's, and you got to make them say yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, let's go to the White Oak Investment comment line. Luke Bush, everybody knows Luke Bush, long-time Lowndes Viking. I think Luke is related to every single person in Lowndes County. It just seems like everybody's a cousin of Luke Bush's. Luke, that's just, I can't believe I said that out loud. It's just between us friends. But Luke says, go Vikings football. Absolutely, Luke. Now,
Absolutely.
Candace Marie, she's got a big time up and coming wide receiver for the Lowndes Vikings. She said, these coaches, they do bring some energy, bring big energy. Coach, when you call these recruiters, I'm assuming that, you put on your sales cap, right? So you're talking about, and you're basically selling the attributes of these kids, why they would do well at the next level. Let me ask you something about kind of like the inside baseball of college recruiting. These recruiters nowadays, what's more important to them? I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer here, but I'm just curious. What is more important to these college recruiters? Like metrics, like height and weight? Does that automatically get those, or they actually study game film, or what's a priority for them?
They do both. I thought I had it figured out, a couple of years ago, that it was a thing where, your height, your size, your weight, everything that was a big ordeal. And it still is to a certain extent. But again, that's where relationships come into play. We've seen situations where they might not have checked off the measurables, but, having somebody to go to bat for them, and push them and things like that was able to, push them to a certain level or just things like that. So it's kind of hard to say. It just depends on what type of relationship you have, what type of system they fit. Some don't care with how big you are. Are you a baller? Are you a gamer? Can you play? You got to look at things like that. I look at the Kansas State running back. If those that are familiar with college football, he was not a big kid at all. And he tore up football this year. So, but it's a system thing. So, it's kind of hard to really just put, just narrow it down now. Just with everything that's going on in college football. So it's more so of a system.
Yeah. So for the parents out there that are watching, not just for the athletes that are currently at the high school level, but those that are coming up in rec league ball, Pop Warner, middle school, we got all kinds of folks watching this program. Funny story is my wife is a teacher, and she helps up there at Hayhire Elementary School. And so a few weeks ago, she comes home and she says, "You've got a fan at Hayhire Elementary School." And I thought she was talking about another teacher, administrator, kind of stuff. She says, "No, this first grader came up to her and says, 'I love your husband. He does a great job with the Viking Nation Live.'" So all these folks, all these little kids want to grow up to be Lowndes Vikings football players. So, for the sake of these folks out there that they recognize a little bit of talent in their kid, they've got these ideas of going and playing at the next level in college. What would you say to them? What should they be working on now? Is it? I know they need to be good football players to begin with. They need to hone their athletic skills, things like that. Talk to the viewers and parents out there, especially the kids that are watching, how important academics are nowadays in a very competitive college environment.
Well, listen, that is the biggest thing. There are coaches that will call and they will not entertain anything until we send a transcript, or we, just let them know, hey, your grades are okay. I tell everybody I come in contact with these players, and some of these Vikings can tell you, there's two things that I can't control. I can't control the classroom, and I can't control what you do on Friday nights on the field. I do not want to sit in the classroom. So, that's something that, that we can't control, but it is huge. We have seen cases where a school comes around, they're wanting to offer a kid and they do not meet the requirements for that institution. But, the biggest thing is you could be trending upward with your grades, but they'll automatically mark you off and they won't circle back around. They will go to the next program or the next school and find what they need, or they'll go into the transfer portal. It's so many different factors that factor into that. But you control, these kids, they control that classroom, and that's huge.
Absolutely.
That's the first part is taking care of your business in the classroom.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back to the White Oak Investment comment line. Stephanie Broom says, "Go Vikings." Franklin Webb's got an interesting question. We'll get to his question in a couple of minutes when we get to that segment. Bernadette Robinson says, "Go Vikings. Can't wait. One Lowndes." Absolutely, Bernadette. Now, Brian Spray says, "Hey, Coach, welcome to the winning sideline."
I appreciate it. I'll take it. Hey, I'll take it, man.
Absolutely. Now, Donna Snellgrove, she's got an interesting question. She says, "At what class do these athletes start getting looks from colleges?"
Oh, man. Wow. Again, the landscape of recruiting is always changing year to year. A few years ago, they wouldn't talk to you or deal with you until you were a sophomore. And for the past, 3-4 years, I've had the pleasure of having an eighth grader offered in the spring of their eighth grade year. I've seen something on Twitter about last week where an 11-year-old got offered. So, it's one of those. I'll be honest with you. If you're in middle school and up, you need to, there's camps now for these middle school kids. We just had one over at Lowndes a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, the MVP camp. Like, they started allowing middle school kids. So, I really say that seventh grade year, and it's really starting in that seventh grade, because there are camps that they can attend. A lot of colleges will allow, rising ninth graders, so currently in their eighth grade year, to attend some of their college camps and stuff as well too.
Gotcha. Okay. Coach, I don't know if this has affected what you do at all, but I gotta think that it may. And that's, everybody, if you keep in touch with college football, even if you're a casual fan, you hear transfer portal this and transfer portal that. So these kids are transferring. I shouldn't call them kids anymore. These college athletes are transferring all over the place. Has that added any type of complexity to what you do at the high school level?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I can say that 2023, the class of 2023, was one of the most challenging that I've had, and then the COVID year, of course. Just dealing with recruiting and with the transfer portal, because you just, to be transparent, you do have universities out here that they can go and get a kid out of transfer portal that is set in a college locker room, that is set in a college weight room, been in meetings, is used to the structure. And there's some of them that will choose to go and get, a transfer portal kid for 2 or 3 years or even a year over a high school kid. And it is challenging. Again, I just can't, emphasize it enough, is relationships. And just weeding through it and adapting. And, Coach Carter and I, we work hand in hand together, and we'll sit and, man, we might talk for a couple of hours on just how to navigate through it, and how, he'll start reaching out to his network of coaches, and I'll reach out to just things like that to figure out who's still taking high school kids, and just things like that. But it has affected recruiting for sure.
Gotcha. Now, Luke Bush, one of our super fans, he's got a long question here. He says, "Welcome to the Viking Nation, Coach. What's the percentage of what's the perception of coaches as it relates to athletes between North versus Region 1, and what have you been able to actually determine so far in the attitude and work ethic?" So basically, what is the differences that you see, if any, between Southern types of athletes versus Metro Atlanta athletes?
With Coach Carter having the experience in South Georgia before, we've talked about it for years, kind of knew what we were getting into. But, just from my side of it, I really do think it's the exposure, between South Georgia and Metro, let's say just the North area and Metro Atlanta area. I would say it's just the exposure that market gets over South Georgia. And that's something that, we're down here and we're going to change that.
Gotcha. Okay, so here's a question from Franklin Webb, and it's a good question. I forgot to ask you this the other day. Uh, are you also a position coach, or is
No,
this what you do full time? Now, it's going to lead me into my next question about social media. But are you a position coach as well?
no. My job is to help these young men get in college. I leave the X's and O's to the X's and O guys. Now,
Gotcha.
I will give Coach Carter my little 1 cent nuggets every now and again. No, man, but I leave that stuff to them. You know, everybody has their place in their lane, and my lane is to help people and to help kids, and that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah. So one thing that was immediately noticed, I mean, overnight, other than, kids getting offers, but the upgrade in our Lowndes football social media presence. I mean, you are the brains behind all that stuff, along with some other folks, but you basically spearhead that. Why was that important for you to take on, and what's the benefit as far as increased social media exposure?
That is the time and day and age that we are in. Unfortunately, some people like it, some people don't. But we can't complain about it. We got to use it to our advantage.
Yep.
So social media, the more eyes we have on the kids and the program, the better. That leads to the exposure. That leads to the difference, between the North and the South and things like that. That's closing the gap. That is something that, we have had the privilege and we've excelled at over the past few years, was building that social media brand and that social media presence. And we put out a graphic last week. We've had over 400,000 impressions since January 9th when Coach Carter started.
Wow.
So, that, think about that. That's 400,000 eyes or people that have clicked on one of our social media pages. And again, that goes a long way when it comes to recruiting. Lowndes is a national brand, but that's putting them more into the forefront and things like that. So social media is huge. It's huge for the exposure of the kids. And each platform has its different, people that check in. Our Facebook, we've been getting some great feedback off our Facebook. That's a way for the parents and the grandparents and things like that to check in to see what we're doing. We want you guys to be a part of what we're doing because the community is what drives us. The community is huge. The community support. So being able to show workouts, being able to show the new multi-purpose facility, the new turf inside the palace and things like that, that is important. That is huge. And just being able to showcase these kids and this brand is our focus, is my focus.
Yeah, Brian Spray says national brand. Wow, love it. Absolutely, man. Listen, do you get you've been down here since January, but I'm sure you've seen by now that we are just a football crazed area, not just in Lowndes County, but all over South Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. It took me a couple of weeks. I was talking to some of the staff and I'm just like, this is unreal. You talk to some of the parents and they graduated from Lowndes and now the kids are there, things like that. That's different. And that's different from what I'm used to and accustomed to. So it's been awesome. I'm gonna tell you one thing, down here in Valdosta and in Lowndes, if there are any Zackadoos, people that's tuned in, I would, if you're looking for a spokesperson, call me, send me a message on Twitter, anything.
Absolutely.
I frequent that place. There's been a couple of days where I'm eating there 3 times a day. So I've got to relax. I've got to chill. Weight's getting out of hand. But listen, there ain't nothing touching Zackadoos in Metro. I can tell you that.
Listen, man, well, just between us and a few thousand viewers, what's your favorite menu item going through the Zackadoos line?
Okay, so I've tried just
I told you we like to have fun on this show.
I have tried just about everything, but this teriyaki chicken and fried rice, that gets me every time right there.
Ooh.
And then the chili slaw dogs are those are different as well. So it does it to me, man.
Coach, that's one of my favorite places to go through too. But I have this, they've got a pretty big menu selection, but I always zero in on one item every single time, and it's going to make you chuckle. I get a 2 slaw dog combo with
Yes.
mustard and a Coke Zero to go along with it.
Yep. That's the number 3. I know that menu.
There you go, the number 3.
That's the number 3. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I've gotten that a couple of times this week. So
yeah. So listen, this is a very plugged in audience. Stephanie Broom says, "Hey, April Singletary." She's connected with that. April Singletary, new coach talking about Zackadoos. Hook him up.
Hook me up. I'm with it. I'm with everything.
Absolutely. I forgot about April. Yeah, she's her son was a former Lowndes Viking as well. So listen, appreciate you being on the show tonight. Hey, listen, I do have to ask you a question though. One of the number one questions that I always get, especially when Coach Carter came in and started his regime out there, is maybe you can give us some like the insider baseball knowledge here. We're going to have Don Bailey, the new offense coordinator, on the show in a couple of weeks. But can you give us some insight? Coach, are we going to finally start throwing the ball?
Listen, I would love to tell you, but I don't know who eyes is on this. We'll have to check in August and see, hey, like Coach Carter says, find a way to win. Find a way to win by 1. However that is, so we're going to be competitive and we're going to give it everything we got. We're here to win ball games and put kids in college.
Absolutely. Hey, Candace Marie says, Galen Whitfield is the operator at the Zackadoos on Norman Drive. Galen, please hook Coach Fred up because Absolutely. He loves your establishment.
I will wrap my car in Zack.
He might hold you to that.
Yeah.
Coach, now you don't currently, you're not living down here full time yet.
No, so actually I had to hightail it back up the road this morning. I had a meeting up here. So I've been commuting back and forth. It's not a bad drive. It's 3.5, 4 hours. It just depends. But just splitting my time back and forth. So I spend half the week down and stuff like that. And then, big recruiting time come spring ball. That's when
Absolutely.
Come back out. So just so everybody know, we start spring practice on May 4th. It'll be a busy time for me with the college prospects and the college coaches coming and things like that. So just, been commuting back and forth. It's been fine. Drinking plenty of energy drinks and things like that. So
final question for you before we let you get on with your night. And that is, these college coaches seem to try to one up each other. We see Kirby with his chopper landing on behind the school out there, getting all the social media posts on Facebook. What is the coolest way a coach has come on campus that you can recall? Not just at Lowndes, wherever you've been.
It's been the helicopter.
Okay.
It's the chopper is a big deal, but I will say it was a time when we were at Grayson and we looked up and it was like 7 Power 5 head coaches standing in the weight room along with other assistant coaches and stuff too. So, just that was pretty cool. That was one of those where you step back and like, oh my goodness, that's a legendary head coach standing over there in between a rack watching a kid, lift. And they get right in there with it. They
That's
don't
right.
Off to the side. They will. They want to get in there and want to see how a kid bends and their movement and stuff like that. But landing the helicopter, Coach Smart was the first one I've seen do that for me when we were at Grayson a few years back. So that's been pretty cool. But it's we've had one. He landed one here and Coach Norvell down at Florida State and things like that. And coaches from Georgia Tech has landed one at Lowndes since we've been here as well. So that's the type of traffic flow we like. It's great on social media. And it's also great exposure for their program as well, too. So,
gotcha. Well, Coach, we love you so far. Welcome to the Lowndes community and the Viking Nation. Can't wait to have you back on the show throughout the season. Man, I can't sing your praises enough. You've done some great work in the short time you've been here at Lowndes. So thank you so much for joining us on the Viking Nation Live tonight.
I appreciate it. And go Vikings.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
There he is, guys. Listen, this I'm telling you guys, there is a new era at Lowndes football. And not just Lowndes football. Have y'all noticed that there just seems to be a new enthusiasm, a new energy level all around the Lowndes athletic program? I'm just seeing it everywhere. That doesn't always translate into the most stellar of seasons, but you just feel the energy from these coaches like I haven't felt before. Candace, thank you so much for your kind words. I do appreciate you watching every week. Candace says, great interview. You on a roll, LG? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and that's just because we've got a great topic to talk about and great people behind this program. Right. So anyway, that my job is easy because I love talking about this stuff. And as long as these guys are willing to talk about it, it's just fun. So every once in a while, I'll go over and visit with my mom, and she says, how come you work so hard? You got a full-time job, and you try to do this with the Viking Nation, and during the season, you got the pregame blitz, and you got some other projects that you're working on the side. And she says, you need to slow down. It's like, Mom, I don't consider this work. This is just fun to me. This is a great, fun thing to do. We talk about football anyway throughout the day, so why not just do it in front of everybody at 7:00 every Thursday night? So anyway, Candace Marie says, this staff gives us family vibes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Molly Zachman Carter says, I just put two and two together. Molly is Coach Adam Carter's lovely bride. She says, we love Coach Fred. Molly, welcome to the Viking Nation and the Lowndes community. We love the Carters. You guys are off to a great start. Thank you so much for investing in our community, choosing to be here in Lowndes County. So anything we can do for you guys, just let us know. So let's go ahead and go back to the White Oak Investment comment line. Tierra Battle, longtime Lowndes fan. She says, I'm a big fan of the staff. Tierra, I am too. I'm loving this staff. I really am. Elaine Day says, welcome, Coach. David Griffin, I'm sorry I didn't ask him that question. I should have, but chances are he would have probably told me that, Larry, I just don't know. David says, what color will their home uniforms be this time? That's a good question. You know, just because I don't know if there's going to be a new color combination or a new uniform, whatever. And I'm assuming David's asking that because, you know, we've seen new coaches in the past. Sometimes when they come in, they try to make a big splash. Sometimes coaches get new helmets. Sometimes they get new color schemes with uniforms. They get a new turf on the field, something like that. So that's probably why you're asking that question. But honestly, I don't know. I met with Coach Carter close to an hour last week. And I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff. We never talked about that. So if I remember, I'll reach out to him and ask him if he's got any plans for color schemes, or we can go right to the source. Molly Carter, can you ask Coach Carter, is there a new color scheme in our future as far as uniforms goes? Travis Hart. This is a funny question. Travis, you a funny man. Travis says, I understand. Travis says, LG, have you been able to have dinner with the coach of the Rebels yet? Travis, it broke my heart, but Coach Allagood never reached back out to me to confirm dinner plans. I'm sure that the message got to him. So the invitation was made, and that the invitation is still open. And for you that are watching that don't know what Travis is talking about, he's talking about the Berrien Rebels. That's my alma mater. That's where I graduated, grew up in Berrien County, played for the Rebels. And they have a coach up there, Tim Allagood. He's been there several years. And this past season, he led the Rebels to their first winning season since 1995. And that is a fantastic achievement. Won a first-round playoff game that they were not favored in. So, honestly, I had to eat some words because I was highly critical of Coach Allagood because it's my alma mater. I want to see them win. And so anyway, so I ate my words. I ate my crow and offered to take him and his lovely bride out to dinner to celebrate a fantastic season, but he has not called me. But that invitation is open. So anyway, hey, listen, I'll make the invitation to Adam Carter and Molly Carter as well. If you guys, since you're new to the community, I would love to take you guys out to dinner, restaurant of your choice. It's on me and my lovely bride. So anyway, hope y'all take me up on that. Coach Trainer said, I would like to see the old Plowboy color scheme uniforms. That'd be interesting to see, make a comeback. I would love to see that maybe as part of a kind of a special, maybe, man, wouldn't it be cool to see the Lowndes Plowboy uniform at the Wintersville Classic? Wouldn't that be a great time to see that? Man, to me, that would be fantastic. Candace Marie says, we definitely have to do a steel interview. Yeah, that would be a fun interview, wouldn't it? Let's see. Tierra Battle says more of an actual Crimson uni would be cool. Yeah. Listen, I love all those ideas. Love all those ideas. Stephanie Broom says, great job, Larry. You know, Stephanie, I was thinking about you when Coach Fred was talking about having to drive long mileage, things like that, because Stephanie and I work in an industry where we have to drive a lot. We both are sales reps and cover large territories. So we know a thing or two about driving long distances, don't we, Steph? So anyway, hey, we got a few other things to talk about as we're running out of time. Well, listen, just between us, we're going to go overtime tonight. We're probably going to start extending the show and making it a goal to go to an hour and a half just to talk about all the things that we need to talk about. Sometimes we'll get there, sometimes we won't. But there are some things that I wanted to talk about tonight. And let's do the Around the Nation, Lowndes Baseball, Cray Lott. I think is that how you pronounce his name, Cray? Or I think that's it. Well, anyway, he has just committed to Northwest Florida baseball. So congratulations, young man, Lowndes baseball player, outstanding baseball player that has received an offer and committed to Northwest Florida. So congratulations to Lowndes baseball and Cray Lott. We also want to say well done to assistant principal John Robbins. And I believe he is the assistant principal at Dewar Elementary School, right? So there was a young student there that was, from the account that was posted from Lowndes County Schools, I believe, indicates that this student was choking on a piece of food, and the assistant principal, John Robbins, came to the rescue. And this little dude, he says, man, this assistant principal, he needs the quote unquote saved my life award. So assistant principal John Robbins, thank you for looking out for the welfare of our kids that are in school and taking immediate action. I'm sure that family loves you for what you've done, and we appreciate everything that you do for the Lowndes County community. So well done, John Robbins. We also want to congratulate Lowndes Golf. The girls team won the Lee County Invitational. The all-tournament team made up of Catherine Odom, Kayla Lee, Sophia Martin. The low medalist was Catherine Odom. Team members include Catherine Odom, Kayla Lee, Sophia Martin, and Callie Bellinger. Now, not to be outdone was the two boys golf teams, Team A and Team B. Team A took second place in the boys division. Team B took fourth place. And here's the most impressive stat to me. 8 out of 10 golfers shot in the 70s. Listen, I've been playing golf for a long time. You know how hard it is to shoot in the 70s? And these young people, 8 out of 10 of them did it on a pretty tough course. So the Team A players include Evan Hanks, Jackson Arnold, Jacob Spies, Briggs, I'm sorry, but I just cannot say your last name on a consistent basis. So everybody sees Briggs' name is Chmielewski, I think, but I always mess it up. And I apologize for that. Landon Bassford. Team B includes Pate Langdale, Jimmy Cohen, Caleb Shiver, Mason Pate, and Mason Hodges. Listen, I don't know all these players. I've known of them because I see some of them play at the Stone Creek course where I'm a member of. And I've played over the years with Jacob and his dad, Jim Spies, several times. So I've watched Jacob grow up with that beautiful golf swing. This guy has a silky smooth golf swing. And to see him mature into the great young man that he is, man, I'm immensely proud of you, Jacob. So keep up the good work, brother. Keep up the great attitude. This guy can knock it a country mile, and he's a good kid to boot. So congratulations to all those Lowndes athletes. Hey, I want to, before we get out of here tonight, Coach Fred Mitchell, he was touching on the indoor practice facility. And our good friends, Phil Jones and the gang there at ITG Next did a great job with an interview with Lowndes Athletics talking about the indoor facility. And so provided as a courtesy from ITG Next, I wanted to share with you the interview that our own Danny Redshaw, the new athletic director for Lowndes High School and Lowndes Athletics, conducted that interview. So it's about a 4-minute interview. I'm going to play that interview in its entirety because I want you to hear the words coming out of Danny's mouth. It's a sight to behold, this new indoor facility. Okay, so check this out. All right, so let me press play.
Director, Lowndes County Schools. We are in our multi-purpose indoor facility located here at Lowndes High School. Our former superintendent, Wes Taylor, and our Board of Education had a vision to build this multi-purpose facility. They took it and ran with it. Here we are today. Number one, we have got so much going on, and this place is going to be used by multiple sports. Everybody thinks it's a football palace, which it is a football place, but it's you've got soccer, you've got flag football, baseball can come in here and work out in inclement weather. Most of our teams can come in here and work in inclement weather. Our track teams, the band's going to use it. I'm sure we've got other activities up there at the school that are going to be able to use it. So it will truly be a multi-purpose facility. It'll be used year-round. It's not just here for a thunderstorm. Already we've got some events scheduled in here for the summer. A flag football tournament, a very big 7-on-7 tournament. It's huge. I know that's an easy word to use, but it's a full-length football field, full-width football field, 100 yards long, 2 10-yard end zones. And we've probably got another 5 yards off the sidelines to the walls. And as you can see, it's marked off for soccer. It's marked off for flag football. So it's a full length field, which we can have a lot of activities on. The speakers are awesome. Now I haven't been in here when they've cranked them up, but it was one day last week. I was up around the front of the school, and they were testing them. It's a pretty awesome sound system. But you also have the capability for a head coach to flip a switch. And, with these, I don't know how many speakers we've got, maybe 24 in here, that, he can give directions. Hey, group A, move to the corner down there. And very modern system that we're using. They might be playing music or whatever. As the coach goes to talk, the music shuts down automatically, comes back up when he's through speaking. So, we're going to like that part of it too. Well, you've got 8 of the Big Ass Fans. That's their name. That's their brand name. We've got the ventilation fans behind me on the wall, and it's just it's science is what it is. And the big fans on the ceiling, they're like propeller blades. They move the air around, they keep it cool. And on the flip side, we do have, cold weather. We've got the little black fans. I think we've got 8 on each side, fans and heaters to warm it up because we're going to be in here year round, regardless of the weather, it's going to get used. This is sports turf. In fact, we're putting some in as we speak in our stadium. It was time for new stadium turf. This is not the rubber-based turf that everybody's used to, which we had in the stadium up until now. Everybody we talked to said it was a better, longer-lasting product. The field stays cooler, 10 to 15 degrees. It's a cork-based filler. It's got the sand and the cork. Our people did their research on it, and it seems like it's going to be a good thing for us. Well, ICB out of Macon won the bid to build this place, and man, they've been great to work with. In fact, I was just working with their job superintendent, Daryl, on a little pad issue over there for our going up to our crow's nest, and they're going to get it worked out to where, safety first in here. We talked about the field size and how wide it is. Okay. That being said, there's not a whole lot of room on those sidelines. That's why we have the pads, covering all the beams and everything. And ICB has been great to work with from start to finish. They really have. My nickname, goodness, that's a lot of pressure you're putting on me. I would have to go with the Indoor Palace, I think. The Indoor Palace.
Guys, I'm sorry. I do that every single time. I had myself on mute while the video was playing. But I was like, not only did we get a video of an indoor facility, but everybody's telling me to get myself off mute. Yeah, I got it. I know. I'm just a dumb country boy from Ray City, Georgia, and I forgot to take the mute off. Sue me. I'm just kidding. So not only did we get a great video about the indoor facility, but man, Danny Redshaw laying out the nickname for the place. And listen, I take credit for that because several months ago on this show, I started asking our guests, hey, and the audience, y'all remember this? Hey, what kind of nickname should we give this place? Because, for good or worse, we tend to give facilities nicknames at Lounge, whether it's the Concrete Palace, the Concrete Coliseum, and it's this and it's that or whatever. So Danny, he laid it out there. What do y'all think? The Indoor Palace. I'm not sure if that rolls off the tongue for me, but what do you guys think of it? Let's give them some instant feedback. I'm not saying if it's good or bad. So what do you guys think about that? I wonder, can people watch the practice indoors? David Griffith asked the question. David, that's an interesting question. Probably not to begin with, just because, they still got some landscaping to do, that kind of stuff. They've got a parking issue. There's going to be a lot of kids coming in and out. So I'm not sure. I will ask, but my bet is probably no. Just because they've got scheduled events. We don't know when that is. Scheduled practices are probably done there for a reason, but they may. So all I can do is ask. So, and that's what I'll do. So what do you guys think? Travis says he likes it. He likes the name, the Indoor Palace. I don't know. Maybe. Danny's talking about, did y'all hear Danny talk about the fans that were in? Now, my mom's watching tonight, so you'll have to forgive me for using this kind of language. I'm just repeating what our athletic director said. He was talking about the manufacturer of the fan. I've seen that kind of fan before, usually in gyms. And the name of the fan, the brand of the fan is called what? It's called the Big Ass Fan Company. That's what they call it. So when Danny was talking about the Indoor Palace, the first thing that came to my mind was like, maybe I should call it the Big Ass Palace. What do you think about that? I don't know. I still think it looks like a concrete barn, but that's just my personal opinion. Kenneth Hurst says he likes the Viking Palace. Danny called it the Indoor Palace. I'm sure a lot of names will be assigned to it, and we'll just have to see what sticks over time. Because the Concrete Palace got its nickname. It wasn't on purpose. It was by sheer accident. When a longtime radio broadcasting host for the Viking Voice, Wes James, tells this story, there was the way he tells a story, I think this is right. There was either a reporter or he read this in an article, whatever, but he was on the air one night during the game, and he was talking about some reporter or someone had tried to make fun of the stadium there at Lowndes, and He called it basically a stadium full of concrete, that kind of stuff, and it's hideous. And Wes just calmly says, "It's not ugly. I think it's a palace. I think it's a concrete palace." And someone heard him say that on the radio, and the name spread like wildfire, and it stuck. And that's basically how we got the nickname, the Concrete Palace. So Brian Spray says the Plowboy Barn. Wilbur Pelfrey likes the name Valhalla Dome. Okay. How about Wilbur, if we use that thought, we can call it the Thunderdome, right? After the Mel Gibson lore. So I kind of like tying it into Valhalla, that kind of stuff. Now, Brian Spray, I don't know if you're trying to be funny or serious, the Plowboy Barn, because, the Plowboys, the Vikings, we do have our roots in agriculture, that kind of stuff. I kind of like the idea of a concrete factory where we mold young men, young athletes in this palace of concrete and steel. So I see it as a factory, the concrete factory. But anyway, so it's going to be interesting to see what name eventually sticks to that. So now I did see a social media post earlier today talking about, I think alluding to the name, the Indoor Palace. So it looks like that's the name that the administration is trying to promote. If it's going to get a nickname, and I guarantee it's going to get a nickname. That's just what fans do. We call everything something short. Some people call the stadium the Met or the Benz, right? Or the Dome, or we fans don't call things for what they're really named. We like to shorten up. We like to make it sound cool, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see what nickname sticks over time. It could be the Indoor Palace. I don't know. Or it could be something else. But I think it should be fan driven. I don't think people should tell the fans necessarily what the nickname, that's to me, that's a little artificial. Good nicknames are usually grown organically. They usually almost happen by accident, if you were the best names out there. And I hope that's what they allow happen. But, the Indoor Palace may stick. We don't know. David Griffith says, this is an interesting question. Is it different from any other indoor facility in South Georgia? David Griffith, I would say yes, because there's not very many of these indoor practice facilities in South Georgia. I can only think of one other one, and that's over in Colquitt County. I think Lee County has a small one that is attached to their weight room facilities, I think, but I'm not sure. David Behringer says, I was told the Plowboys was an insult thrown by Valdosta. That is true. Now, David, I was talking about the nickname, the Concrete Palace. Now, you're right. The Plowboys was a kind of a, it wasn't flattery, right? So the Plowboys, that name, that lore, was meant to be an insult from the Valdosta faithful, because back in those days, a lot of our students did come from the farm, did come from the country, and did work on the farm. So they called us a bunch of plowboys, right? And it was meant as a detriment. But to Lowndes' credit, they just adopted that and identified with it and just promoted it. So, yeah. Hey, David Barrett, no problem, man. No problem. I'm just glad you tuned in, brother. I'm just glad anybody tunes in to this crazy show every single week. But I listen, one thing for sure, we do have a good time on the show. And I told Fred Mitchell, the coach that appeared as our guest tonight, I said, listen, I'm probably going to ask you this. Here's a general set of questions that I'm probably going to touch on. But the most important thing, Coach, that can happen when you appear on the show is just have a good time. This is the least amount of pressure any coach will ever appear on a show when it has to do with any media type of thing. Because this is a coach-friendly show. It really is. We just like to have a good time. So anyway, that's what I just ask all coaches to do when you come on. You just let your hair down a little bit. I'm not here to ask you any type of gotcha questions, that kind of stuff. We're just here to find out a little bit more about them, their role in the program, what their plans are in the community. Thank them for being here when they can be anywhere else. That's just our role. We're not going to be homers, and we're not going to be completely objective. We're going to be somewhere right in the middle of those two, right? We want to be fair-minded, but we're going to slant towards being homers, right? So I wear that with a badge of courage, no doubt at all. Travis Hars. Travis, you are on a roll tonight. He says, now we're plowing over those Wildcats. Well, let's see. We didn't have a too good of an outing last season. And you heard our friend from across town, Sam Horn, longtime Valdosta super fan, says that they're going to beat Lowndes 2 years in a row this upcoming season. So we'll see. We'll see. Travis, I've learned that I'm going to talk after the game. Because I remember one year, y'all remember the Miracle at Martin? That year that Valdosta ended our 7 or 8 game win streak against them, that kind of stuff. And we had them beat, especially after Josh Harvey Clemens made that great interception late in the game. We thought the game was over. We're up 2 scores. All of a sudden, they scored bang, 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 just like that. So I call it the Miracle at Martin. But I remember leading up to that game, I was convinced Lowndes was going to roll over Valdosta, and I spent the entire week running my mouth. Oh, my gosh. I remember another longtime Valdosta fan, Derek Shaw, good friend of mine, but he was giving me the grief, and especially after Valdosta pulled off that miracle, he really let me have it. And you know what? I deserved it because I was running my mouth all week long without mercy. And those that you know me know that I can run my mouth. You know that I can. And I did that week, and whew, so I learned my lesson. I'm not going to talk big before the big game. That's for sure. I'll talk big after the game, especially if we win, but not before. No way. David Barron, this is a fair comment. It's fair. David says Valdosta beat us last year because of the massive exodus of players due to the coach. You know, that's debatable, and especially early in the season. There were some players that left the program, but we don't know for sure if it was just because of the coach. Well, I know for a fact that some players just left because they just didn't want to play football anymore, not necessarily due to the coach, but there were some that did, and that's a fair statement. But you know what, David? That's the past. We are moving full speed ahead because we're going to have to face that former coach last year. So y'all saw in the, I think, social media post from Valdosta football that Zach Grage is now a co-offensive coordinator. It's official. He's a co-offensive coordinator for the Valdosta Wildcats. So it's going to be interesting, the Wintersville Classic next year, right? So we'll see. We'll see. There's, you know, I'll just leave it at that. It's very, but listen, I want to make sure that I say this. I wish nothing but the best for Zach Grage because, you know, I disagreed with how he coached at Lowndes, but from what I understand, he's a good person. He's a good man, and he's got a good family, and he's got young kids. He and his wife are trying to raise in our community. And so he's not our coach anymore, but he's still a member of our community, and we can still be kind. We recognize what happened. We move full speed ahead, and we're kind. That's all we can expect from each other, right? So anyway, David says, fair enough. Yep, I'm glad we got our new coach. I am too. I'm really excited about what Adam Carter brings to the program. So Candace Murray, what do you mean? You're talking about this. Maybe that's the reason why we lost that game last year because of the scheme. Is that what you're saying? It could be, but we just don't know for sure. I mean, hindsight is always 20/20, but in this particular case, it's debatable if we ran the right offensive scheme or if we didn't, if we had the right defense, if we didn't, whatever the coach is, whatever scheme that he brings or he brought, that's debatable, but it's over with, right? But I'm more interested in what kind of offensive scheme Adam Carter and Don Bailey bring to Lowndes. Because I asked Coach Carter last week when I met with him, and I asked him point blank, I said, Coach, are we going to throw the ball more this year? And he said, I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but this is me paraphrasing what he said. We expect to throw the ball more, but we're going to run the offense that scores the most points for us against any particular opponent. Is that coach speak or what? But I get the gist of what he's trying to do. You know, Don Bailey has got a history of throwing the ball in college. He does. So I expect more throwing. But then again, we've got to have athletes that can quickly adopt his system. And I don't know if we're there yet. That's just me being real. So we've got some really great athletes, but they're going to have to learn a new scheme that Don Bailey brings. I don't know how complicated a college scheme is at the high school level. I don't know. So we're going to see. Right? I predict that we're going to gradually grow into his offense. That's what I would expect. But we'll just have to wait and see what the spring schedule brings. Candace, I'm glad you said this because we do need to take this to heart, what Candace is saying, because I still have some fans that bring that up from last year. But Candace says, facts, it's over. We're on to the next. That's exactly right. And so we wish Coach Grage well. We wish Valdosta well, except for that one game against us. And so we'll just have to move forward from there. Now, what is more important to me is the upcoming schedule, because we've got some tough games this year. You know, most of them are going to be repeats from last year, and we're waiting to fill a couple of slots from Florida teams that have dropped out. But, you know, we went to East Coweta last year, and Grayson came to us, so we'll flip-flop this year. So East Coweta will come to us, and we make a middle-of-the-season road trip to Grayson, where Adam Carter just came from. So you think those kids are going to be playing sky high against Lowndes when we roll into Gwinnett County? Absolutely. So that's what I'm more focused on instead of what happened last year, right? Excuse me. So as we wind down the show tonight, we talked about some new sponsors that we've got on board. Chandler Kudik with AquaWorks Pool Service Company, Tony Green, Trey Hatcher with Imperial Auto Sales. Thank you so much for putting your trust in us. And so, guys, if you have a need for any of the services that our sponsors bring to you, please use the sponsors that sponsor our athletes, that sponsor our program. So if you need a car, give Tony and Trey a call. If you need your pool clean, give Chandler Kudik a call at AquaWorks. If you need your blinds done, right, give Tim Neesmith a call. If you need back pain or migraine pain relief, Josh Batson and Justin Haskin at Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. And the list goes on and on again. If you need your blinds, Tim Neesmith. Tim Neesmith at A Shade of Perfection. If you are thirsty and you drink colas, pick up a Pepsi, sponsored by Pepsi of Valdosta. And if you want to talk politics or listening to the political discussions of the day, give our buddy Steve Nichols a try at freedomnetworks.com. His show is live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 a.m. And finally, if you have a need for an iPhone or an Android, go see Matthew Godwin at Verizon Wireless on Perimeter Road. Candace says it will definitely be a game. David, I'm glad you said that, man. David Behringer bragging on our newest sponsor. Best place to buy a car is Imperial, no doubt. You know, here's one of the coolest things I like about Imperial Auto Sales: the people that are there. You guys know these guys. Tony Green, he's one of our bus drivers for the Georgia Bridgeman. He volunteers not just during regular fall band season, marching band season, but he volunteers for the Winter Guard as well. He and his wife, Jennifer Green, lovely people. You know, Jennifer is a Berrien County product. Not ashamed to say that at all. So I'm a little bit more biased towards the Greens because of that connection. But anyway, just good, wholesome salt of the earth kind of people. So if you want an honest car dealer and get a good quality product at a fair price, Tony and Trey at Imperial Auto Sales really needs to be at the top of your list. Even if you don't buy from them, at least go give them a chance. Give them a chance. Anyway, so a couple more things before we call it a night, and that's this. So do you guys think that there is an indoor facilities arms race in South Georgia in general and Georgia overall? Do you guys think there's an indoor facilities arms race? Now, you might be surprised to hear my answer on this. Some people claim that we are just in the beginning of an indoor practice facilities arms race. I think that's about to slow down. And here's why. Now, there's no doubt that other schools are about to break ground. Thomas County Central is about to break ground on a mammoth project. You're talking about an impressive athletic facility. It is fantastic what they're trying to do. But here's the deal. All these schools are doing this construction, whether it's Lowndes, and Lowndes is not the only one. Valdosta is about to break ground, I'm predicting, on their indoor facility, Thomas County Central. So you'll have a few more. But once these initial ones get done out of the way, I think you're going to see that slow down. And here's why. Because of the money. These things are expensive. You're talking about anywhere from $6 to $9 million just on the indoor facility, right? Because of inflation cost and that kind of stuff. That's a lot of money for these school systems to spend on it's kind of hard to justify, especially with the economy the way it is right now, right? And then you also got to take a look, and this is really what is fueling my opinion here. A lot of these schools are getting this money from COVID relief money from the federal government. Now, some of it's being gotten from the eSPLOST tax, which I think that a new eSPLOST tax is being voted on now. I think early voting has started on that. Oh, by the way, Lowndes and Valdosta are trying to get you to pass a new eSPLOST tax. That's our public service announcement for today. But other than some eSPLOST money, that's not enough to build a facility, because a typical school system gets about $12 million over the course of a eSPLOST time frame. And if you're talking about the facility itself is going to cost anywhere from $6 to $9 million, that's like 2/3 of what they're going to raise from their eSPLOST referendum. That's just in this county. Smaller counties are going to get a smaller chunk, right, or a smaller amount. But their costs are going to remain the same for these facilities. So I think once these schools go through the initial outlay of the federal COVID stimulus money, and that's where a lot of schools are getting these funds, is now they're going to have to rely on tried and true ways like eSPLOST money and capital project funding and that kind of stuff. And so once the COVID money starts to dry up, you're going to notice a slowdown in these athletic upgrades. That's why these schools are racing to get these things built, because there is a time frame. There's an expiration date on federal COVID stimulus money. I think they have just a certain number of years to get this money spent, right? So that's why it's like a sprint in school systems trying to get these things done in place. So anyway, I think over the next year, you're going to see a number of school systems break ground on these things. But once that initial, 12 to 18 months is over with, you're going to start to see a slowdown in facilities upgrades just because of a slowdown in money coming in. So anyway, so that's why I think the arms race is here, but it's going to be short-lived because of that. So I wanted to just get those thoughts out there, because some people are claiming that the arms race is here to stay, and these schools are just going to build. Yeah, they are for a short period of time. Wilbur Pelfrey says, from what I read, the eSPLOST is a continuation of the one that is set to end. Wilbur, we can debate eSPLOST, and that's not what this show is for. That is technically true. That is technically true. So the East Plus continuation is always going to be when one expires, the new one that's voted in will take over. So technically, you are correct. When one is set to expire, the new one, I guess, is a continuation. Now, in technical terms, if we want to get technical about it, when something expires, what happens? If you got a gallon of milk and it expires and you get a new gallon of milk, is that a continuation of the sour milk? No, it's a new gallon, right? So if we're going to get technical about it, that's is getting as technical as you want. So we can debate all that. That's not what the purpose of this show is. So, but I wanted to tell you that as a public service announcement, I think that vote is being done now as far as early voting goes. The last thing is there is an appeal by the Georgia, not an appeal as in a court case, but an appeal as making an appeal to the public. And that is the Georgia High School Association is appealing for a return to good sportsmanship. A return to good sportsmanship. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that as fans, maybe not us, but they're talking about all of us as fans, really, that there is a big push now. And it's going to be interesting to see going into next season, is there going to be a big push at the administration level, where if you start to see rowdy fans, that they are escorted more out the gates more often, or if you're going to see ushers more, or school officials, or deputy sheriffs more in the stands because of rowdy fans and that kind of stuff. And let's be honest, that's probably a big reason why we have a shortage, or at least a contributing factor, why we have a shortage of officials at all levels, at all sports, whether it's baseball, football. There is a major officials shortage nationwide, not just here, but nationwide. And that is a contributing factor. Bad sportsmanship from the crowd, the fans, definitely feeds into that. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of effort these school administrations make to try to police bad behavior more often. Is it going to be issued more warnings? Is it going to lead to fans being expelled from the stadiums? Is it going to lead to fans being banned from stadiums, not to be allowed to come back because of their bad behavior? So, guys, my point is we can't control what's on the field. We can't control the level of play, the quality of the officiating, but what we can do is control what kind of fan we are. So I'm not speaking to 99.9% of you, but I am speaking to 0.1% of you. The 0.1%, I think, that are bad fans that do not, display good sportsmanship. Let's clean up our act. Let's not force the administration to come down on fans. We can control that. So let's clean up our act. So anyway, guys, it's approaching 8:30. And so we did extend the show tonight, almost to an hour and a half. So, but that's going to do it for tonight. That's going to wrap up our effort here. As always, love you guys. Love spending Thursday nights with you, talking about Lowndes athletics. And as promised, we're going to start talking about, because of the off season, we're going to start talking about more things outside of just Lowndes athletics. We're going to talk about community spotlights, other programs, just our effort to combine our two shows during the off season. So if you got some friends out there that are fans of other programs, tell them to tune in. So we're going to do more than just talk about Lowndes football, although we can spend an hour and a half talking about Lowndes football. But our goal is to talk about other things that's happening in the community athletic wise as well. So anyway, so on behalf of everybody associated with the Viking Nation Live and the Viking Nation fan page on Facebook, by the way, we are knocking on the door of 10,000 followers on the Viking Nation on Facebook. And you guys should be proud of that. It's not because of all of my effort, but you guys had a huge hand in that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. On behalf of everybody connected to the Viking Nation, I'm your host, Larry Godwin, and you have been watching the Viking Nation Live. Go Lowndes County and go Vikings. Adios.